I told him I wasn't comfortable. Not dramatically, just that quiet, creeping feeling that something was off. The second he mentioned the rooftop mixer at his office, something in me pulled tight. It wasn't jealousy. It was instinct, the kind that whispers before reality hits you full force. Lena, seriously? He laughed, straightening his shirt like the conversation bored him. It's a work thing. A couple drinks, nothing major. But I'd met those coworkers. The ones who flirt like it's a hobby, who treat boundaries like they're optional. The ones who brag about loving their partners while acting single the moment the music turns up. I told him how I felt gently, choosing each word as if it might shatter. He just stared at me, amused like I was being cute. I trust you, I said. You're overthinking, he replied. And right then everything shifted. The hours after he left stretched painfully long. The apartment felt hollow, like someone had scooped out all the sound. I baked cookies I had no desire to eat, scrubbed dishes already spotless. Anything to drown out the silence. But my eyes kept drifting toward my phone. Nothing. Nothing. Still nothing. At 12:58 a.m. it finally buzzed. Not him. It was my cousin Ray, the DJ who worked downtown. Pretty sure I just saw your guy on the balcony at the Solstice Lounge, he wrote. He wasn't alone. My chest tightened. I called. Voicemail. I texted. Delivered, ignored. By 1:20 I was in my car, the night air biting at my skin. Harborview was buzzing. Music thumping, neon lights reflecting off wet pavement. I drove past crowds of strangers, each one seeming like they belonged to a world I suddenly didn't recognize. His car sat behind the lounge untouched. But he was nowhere to be seen. So I waited. At 2:41 they appeared. Evan and Marissa, the coworker who always laughed too loudly at his jokes. Her hand looped through his arm, her head resting on his shoulder like it was the most natural place in the world. They weren't tipsy. They were familiar. Under the glow of a street lamp, she slid her finger down his shirt and pulled him into a kiss. He didn't hesitate. He leaned in. I didn't jump out of the car. I didn't scream. I just watched, detached, like the scene belonged to some other life. When he finally noticed me parked across the street, his whole face collapsed. He jerked away from her like he'd just woken up. Lena, he called, stepping toward me. I turned my key, pulled into traffic and left. Back at the apartment, the air felt ice cold. His blanket was still tossed across the couch, and the faint scent of his cologne lingered like a ghost unaware it should be gone. He came home an hour later, frantic, breath shaky. Please, he begged from the doorway. Just let me explain. I stared past him. Was she worth it? I asked. He broke down. But something inside me had already solidified. The days after were unbearably quiet. Evan drifted around like a man carrying a wound he couldn't bandage. He apologized, rambled, tried to explain, each word sounding like the generic script of someone sorry they were caught, not sorry they did it. I screwed up, he whispered one night, standing in the doorway of the bedroom I'd reclaimed for myself. It wasn't a screw-up, I said. It was a choice. That struck him harder than anything. He stopped trying after that. Stopped pretending we weren't already broken. Weeks slipped by. We lived side by side like strangers with shared furniture. Sometimes I'd hear him crying quietly. I felt nothing. One evening he approached me again, voice barely there. Don't give up on us, he pleaded. We built so much. I looked at him. He was still Evan, the man who used to bring me morning coffee, who once spun me in the kitchen for no reason. But those pieces belonged to someone I no longer recognized. I don't hate you, I said. I just don't know who you are anymore. His expression fell apart. A week later I packed a small suitcase, just what I needed. When I opened the door he appeared behind me. Where are you going? Somewhere I can breathe, I said. His voice cracked. We can fix this. I shook my head. I told you how I felt. You laughed. That's when we broke. I walked out. He didn't follow. I moved into a tiny studio across the river, quiet, bare and mine. No trace of him. No lingering lies hiding in corners. He reached out for a while, calls, texts, letters slipped under my door. I stayed silent. Eventually, time carried us both forward. Months later, in a courthouse that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and old carpet, we signed the papers. His hands shook. He whispered, I'm sorry. like it was a magic spell that could repair anything. I nodded and stepped out into crisp autumn air. Leaves swirled across the parking lot in warm reds and golds. Everything felt strangely new. I realized not every ending is a disaster. Sometimes it's freedom. Sometimes leaving isn't about losing love. It's about refusing to lose yourself. And as I walked toward my car, I finally understood. You can warn someone when a storm is coming. You can show them the sky darkening. But if they insist on walking straight into the lightning, the burns they earn aren't your burden. Your only job is to step out of the rain,